The first time Commander Althira of the Viren Dominion met Captain Elias Ward, she regarded him the same way one might regard a fragile creature made of glass, something curious, inferior, and wholly unimpressive. Humans were spoken of across the stars as emotional, sentimental, and physically weak. The Dominion's propaganda fed every Viren soldier the same message from childhood. Humanity was a species designed for failure. Althira never questioned it. She had been bioengineered for war. Her body stronger than steel, her reflexes sharpened like plasma blades. Emotions were dulled in her kind, replaced with calculation and duty. To her, humanity's softness was akin to a flaw in design. Yet here she was, stepping onto the diplomatic starliner Resolute Dawn, summoned to negotiate the terms of a ceasefire after years of interplanetary hostility. She expected resistance, hollow bravado, perhaps bargaining. She did not expect calm. Captain Elias Ward stood alone in the grand hall, hands peacefully folded behind him, posture relaxed. No armor, no weapon, just a simple navy blue officer's coat and the faintest smile. "Commander Althira," he greeted, voice warm, unhurried. "Thank you for accepting the meeting." "You speak as though I had a choice," she replied, chin high. "My council believes humans worth observing before we decide whether to eliminate you." Elias only chuckled, actually laughed. Althira felt the rare stir of irritation. "And what do you believe?" he asked. "That humanity survives only through luck and sentimentality." She circled him, assessing. "You are fragile, emotional. Your species breaks." He hummed thoughtfully. "Perhaps. But we also rebuild." "Rebuilding," she scoffed, "is merely proof of having fallen." She expected him to bristle. He didn't. Instead, he gestured to the starlit viewport behind him. "We fall, yes. But we do so moving forward." Before she could respond, alarms blared. The ship shuddered beneath their feet. A Viren assault squad burst into the hall, rogue warriors ignoring the ceasefire, eager to draw first blood. Althira did not flinch. She welcomed conflict. But Elias, she turned to see what panic looked like on a human commander. He had already moved. The strike leader fired, energy rounds streaking toward them. Without hesitation, Elias shoved Althira behind him and raised a shimmering shield generator from his wrist. The blast struck, rippling light across its surface. He took the blow for her. "You," she blinked in disbelief. "You protected me." "Kind of how negotiations work," he grunted. "We try not to let each other die." "Foolish," she hissed, though something tugged inside her chest, a feeling like a cord plucked too tightly. The battle was swift. Althira crushed 3 warriors with ruthless precision, while Elias issued tactical commands, guiding his crew with remarkable clarity. When the final Viren dissident fell, silence washed over the hall. He wiped sweat from his brow, breathing hard. Althira stared. "Why would you shield me? I am your enemy." "You came here to talk peace," he replied. "That makes you my hope, not my enemy." "Oh." The word felt foreign on her tongue. Hours later, in a secure briefing room, Althira studied Elias like a puzzle. His arm still trembled faintly from the shield's recoil, yet he sipped tea calmly, as though nearly dying for her was an ordinary event. "Human resilience is inefficient," she declared at last. "You endure pain when retreat is logical." He smirked. "You think endurance is weakness. It is unnecessary suffering. It's choice." He leaned forward. "You were engineered for strength, but strength without choice is obedience, not power." Her jaw tensed. "You dare imply I lack power?" "I think," he said gently, "you've never been allowed to define it." She opened her mouth to rebut, but there was no swift reply. Silence sat between them like a challenge. Over the next days, they toured the ship together, an odd pairing observed by nervous humans and confused Viren operatives. Althira witnessed things she had never seen. Crew members joking during maintenance shifts, med officers tending to injured engineers with genuine tenderness, children aboard the civilian decks painting starscapes. Humans expressed emotion freely. They cried when overwhelmed, laughed loudly, embraced readily. Where Virens suppressed, humans connected. "You rely too much on each other," she said as she passed a pair of technicians fixing a conduit side by side. "Interdependency weakens individual capability. And yet we survive," Elias replied. "Not by being perfect alone, but by being imperfect together." She hated how his words lingered long after spoken. That night, she stood in the observation dome, staring at a nebula swirling in violet and gold. Elias joined her quietly. "You're thinking," he said. "I do not think," she retorted. "I calculate." He smiled. "Then calculate this. Why did you stand by me against your own soldiers?" Her breath hitched. She had fought beside humans, against Virens. It had been instinctual, immediate. "I do not know." "I do," he whispered. "Because you saw I wasn't weak. Just different." Different. The word felt like a fracture in her worldview. Days turned into a full week. No battles. No orders from her war-driven hierarchy. Just observation. Conversation. Confusion. But peace is fragile. On the 7th night, the Dominion fleet arrived. Massive warships blotting out stars, cannons primed. They demanded Althira execute Elias publicly as proof of loyalty. She was given the blade. Humans watched from sealed observation decks, their captain kneeling calmly. He didn't beg, didn't protest, just met her gaze with quiet trust. "You think I won't do it," she said lowly, blade humming in her hand. "I think you already chose who you want to be," he answered. "This is sentiment," she spat. "Weakness." "No," he murmured. "Strength is choosing mercy when taught violence." Her hand shook. Viren soldiers stood ready. If she refused, she would be labeled traitor. Terminated. Worse, her family line purged. "You hesitate," hissed her adjutant through comms. "Humans infect you with emotion. Execute him." She raised the blade, then hurled it to the ground, blast kicking the nearest Dominion officer. Gasps filled both fleets' channels. She stood tall. The Dominion fears humanity not for their weakness, but because they possess a strength we cannot manufacture, will. Chaos erupted. Dominion soldiers charged. Althira unleashed fury tempered not by duty, but by clarity. Humans joined in defense, Elias fighting at her side despite his injuries. Side by side they stood, back to back, against overwhelming odds. When the dust settled, the Dominion fleet retreated under fractured command, shaken by their commander's defection and human alliance. Silence again. Heavy. Viren rebels gone. The threat faded for now. Elias exhaled shakily. "So, you chose peace." "I chose myself," she corrected. Softer. "Perhaps I chose humanity too." He chuckled. "Not bad company to keep." In the weeks that followed, Althira petitioned for asylum within human space. Together, she and Elias worked to build diplomatic bridges. Some feared her. Some welcomed her. But she walked forward, not as a perfect weapon, but as a being learning imperfection. One evening, standing again in the star-filled dome, she spoke without armor, without pretense. "You were right," she said. He looked over, eyebrows raised playfully. "About what?" Strength is not the absence of emotion. Her voice almost trembled. It is the courage to feel it. And to stand despite fear. Elias smiled. And you call us sentimental. She didn't argue this time. Instead, she simply stood beside him. A warrior built for perfection. Human shaped by struggle. And in the silence between stars, they both knew the truth. She had mocked humanity's weakness, until she discovered it was the very force that could change a universe.